Hello and welcome to ADHD History, the show where we take overly large historical concepts and break them down in just a few minutes. And the topic of today's video that we will be scratching the surface of is the mysterious horse nomads who invaded Europe in the 4th century, known to history as the Huns. So now, of course, it's common knowledge about the Huns that they were a group of barbarians who simultaneously attacked the peaceful and often victimized Roman Empire, and also attacked China 1,000 years later, only to be repelled by Mulan. And we know that they're a bunch of hulking brutes with orange eyes who are just super scary, monster-looking dudes, and they all have bows that look kind of like this, and they ride in on horses and kill all the innocent civilians. Or at least that's what we're expected to think about them. Their lettered enemies, the Romans, the Persians, Disney Entertainment, seem to all present them in a very similar way. Roman authors often describe them in rather monstrous ways, giving them features such as shapeless heads and flat noses. And Disney, of course, presents them like the way you're seeing on your screen right now, which is a little bit troubling. And it's even weirder with Disney, of course, because the Huns weren't in China probably ever. It's certainly not at the time that's shown in the movie where they're using gunpowder and stuff. That would be much, much later. But, so there is a bit of a historical debate. There might have been an ancestor of the Huns that would have fought the Han, and these people would have been a nomadic steppe tribe called the Xiongnu, who then hypothetically fled across Central Asia and ended up in Rome. There isn't really good evidence for this. There's some genetic studies seem divided. One of them, there were two last year, one of them suggests that there is perhaps a connection to the Xiongnu, and another says that it was other steppe people. It's also worth noting that all of the genetic studies on the Huns have concluded that they were of mixed European and Asian ancestry. In any case, regardless of their mysterious origins, we're kind of running into the same problem that we talked about in the Barbarians video, that these people are treated as these monstrous outsiders who have no identity of their own aside from the role they play as an adversary to civilization. But so I'm sure you're wondering, like, who really are they? Where do they come from? What did they do? And the fun part is, it's really hard for us to say for certain, because kind of what we have to go off is genetics, archaeology, and what the Romans have to say about them, which is very mean mostly. So let's do a rundown of kind of basically what we do know about them. So starting with who are they, where do they come from? They come from somewhere in the Central Asian Black Hole TM, as it is often traded in Western histories. And they are most likely some sort of tribal confederation, formed of a couple different groups, including some European and some Asian groups. We don't know where the word Hun comes from. There's a lot of theories. I don't really have time to get into it on this one video. And there's a lot of other people who get called Huns who may or may not be connected to them, such as the red Huns or the white Huns, the Hephthalites. As for some stuff about them, their culture, we don't know anything about their religion. We do know a little bit about their material culture. We know they made some stuff. We've got cookware, we've got jewelry, those kinds of things. Some of the jewelry should be on the screen right now because I think it's pretty cool. As far as economics, we know that they initially subsisted mostly on a pastoral sort of diet of meat and dairy from herding. Later they ended up exacting quite a bit of tributes from the Roman Empire, from the Eastern Roman Empire in particular, mostly gold, but there were other goods as well, mostly from looting more than tribute. They did a very good job of not destroying the Roman Empire while they were attempting to exact tribute from it. They understood that you can't kill the golden goose. They also, we know from their conflict with the Romans, that they were very technologically advanced as far as siege warfare, and the Romans, who during the crisis of the 3rd century had kind of put up walls around all of their cities to protect them because they couldn't stop barbarians from crossing the border anymore. And those cities had been pretty much impervious to the German and Gothic invaders, but the Huns were able to quickly besiege and capture cities, but they never held on to them because they weren't conquerors. As for their system of government, we don't really know. We know that they often had either small councils or individual leaders. We do know the first leader mentioned in the Roman sources is a guy called Ulden. We don't know if that's a title or if a name. And also, after an early defeat of the Huns by the Romans, Ulden sort of disappears, and some historians have suggested that that might have indicated a bit of a democratic nature to the Hunnic governance, that he had failed and therefore lost his position as king. And of course we know about Attila, who was the very well-known king of the Huns and the last king of the Huns in Europe, who died in 453. And also invaded the Western Roman Empire because a woman named Honoria, who was part of the royal family, was supposed to be married off to a senator that she didn't like, and she sent him a letter with a ring and a request for help, and he laid waste. Anyway, that's about all I have on the Huns. If you want further reading, I'll have plenty. There's a lot of topics I would love to get into, but it's hard to get into them without turning this into a giant bloated thing. So you'll just have to go read on your own if you're interested. And just remember, when you hear people using Hun to mean a scary bad guy, or if you watch a Disney movie about it, just remember the connotation there. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click the subscribe stuff. And if you didn't like the video, insult me in the comment section. That's what it's there for. This is YouTube. And have a nice day.